How do you intend to learn what you need to know to perform well for this job? I have experience in learning new concepts without training. I usually look through books or manuals to find answers. Because I'm good at learning, I'll study relevant material to help me do my duties well. If your supervisor tells you to do something that you believe can be done in a different way, what would you do? I'll suggest a different way of doing the assignment along with the benefits. If my supervisor disagrees and insists I do it a certain way, I'll follow the instructions. If you're told to do something that you feel is illegal, what would you do? I wouldn't jump to any conclusions. I would rather question my manager to verify if it is legal or not. If I'm not convinced through facts, then I would investigate through other means. If I find it is illegal, I would not continue with the work and inform human resources of this incident. If you were unfairly criticized, what would you do? If I was unfairly criticized in private, then I would initiate dialogue, asking why he or she thought this way. I would try to understand their point of view and explain my point of view. If I was unfairly criticized in public, then I would be a little upset, but I would wait to address the problem until the person criticizing me was alone. I would do this because if I'm upset, I wouldn't want to start an argument without thinking. So after some time, I would approach the person and ask him or her why I was criticized. If it was justified, then I would use that as constructive criticism to improve myself. If not, then I would tell that person that it isn't good to publicly criticize someone when they are not sure if it is correct. How do you intend to learn what you need to know to perform well for this job? I have experience in this area, so I won't need much training. However, I know different companies have different ways of doing things, so I'll learn company policies and methods quickly to apply my existing knowledge to do a good job. If your supervisor tells you to do something that you believe can be done in a different way, what would you do? I'll suggest a different method and ask my supervisor if I can do this work the new way. If the result will be the same, but would potentially save more time, then I believe my manager will allow it. However, if my manager wants it done a certain way for other reasons, I will follow his or her instructions. If you're told to do something that you feel is illegal, what would you do? If I'm not sure, I would verify whether it's legal or not before performing the task. If I find it is legal, then I would continue with the task. If not, then I would report the request to the boss of the person who asked me to do it. If the boss does not take appropriate action, I would find out why and report the incident to Human Resources myself. If you were unfairly criticized, what would you do? If I'm publicly criticized unjustly, I would immediately ask that person on what grounds he or she is saying that. One of my pet peeves is putting someone down in public, and if I don't say anything there, then this person is getting away with something terrible, and everyone will think that I did something wrong. I would keep my temper in check, but make sure that people know the criticism wasn't justified. How do you intend to learn what you need to know to perform well for this job? The first couple of weeks are important. I think it's important to study the correct material, ask the right questions, and put in extra effort to learn what I need to know. This is what I usually do to make sure I'll be performing well. If your supervisor tells you to do something that you believe can be done in a different way, what would you do? I would question my supervisor why he or she wants it done this particular way. If I still don't agree with the method, I would suggest alternate ways of tackling the assignment and explain how my suggestion would be better. After having a good conversation, if we still can't see eye to eye, then I would have to trust my superior and follow his or her instructions. If you were unfairly criticized, what would you do? I would probably ask for clarity on the criticism. I think it's important to accept criticism for self-improvement, but if it's unfair, then I will clear things up by asking for clarity. How do you intend to learn what you need to know to perform well for this job? If the company provides training, I'll utilize the training to learn. If not, then I'll learn by being attentive to what other people do, read up on all the documentation, and be willing to ask questions when necessary. I know the first couple of weeks are important, and I'm willing to put in extra effort to start off on the right track. If you're told to do something that you feel is illegal, what would you do? I would first verify if it's legal or not. If it is legal, then I would continue with the work. If it's illegal, I would not do the work and tell my manager that this work is illegal. I would also let human resources aware of the situation. If you were unfairly criticized, what would you do? When I'm unfairly criticized, I usually think about the criticism and try and view it from a different angle. If I still can't see why I was criticized, then I will approach the person and initiate a dialogue to resolve the unfair criticism. If your supervisor tells you to do something that you believe can be done in a different way, what would you do? I will tell my supervisor of an alternate way and explain the benefits. If my supervisor is not convinced, then I'll follow his instructions. If you're told to do something that you feel is illegal, what would you do? I'd verify if the work was legal or not. If it wasn't legal, then I'd confront my manager and my manager's manager with this incident. If you were unfairly criticized, what would you do? I usually use all criticism to help me grow. If I was criticized unfairly, there must be a little truth to it. I will learn as much as I can from it, but if it was really out of line, I would definitely approach the person and ask for clarity.